Folks, we've finished our panel. Now we're moving on to the next stage of our day. So in case, again, I feel a bit repetitive. So for folks who have been here the whole time, I'm going to reintroduce myself yet again. I'm Tobias. I'm the Business Development Director here at DEPT. And welcome to Commerce Day for anyone who has just joined. So we're moving on to our next speaker of today, Maria. And Maria is an incredibly passionate speaker and digital enthusiast. As Director EMEA, Maria oversees media, advertising, and performance e-commerce at Gucci in 37 markets, building the strategic framework and direction for the region. Previously, Maria held the position of Global Head of Media and Advertising at Montblanc and Amazon as well. Maria, it's an absolute privilege to have you here today, and she'll be talking about delivering on the promise of digital. Maria, are you with us?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. It's an absolute pleasure to meet you. I'm really looking forward to your chat today, Maria.
Thank you so much for the kind introduction. It's a pleasure to be here.
Of course. I'm going to actually hand over to you now, so it's your show.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
All right.
So, thank you. So today we're going to talk about delivering on the promise of digital. And this is a very vast topic, definitely. So I think depending on which industry you're working on, you would have different points, different agenda points at the moment on how to tackle to deliver on the promise of digital. And my key focus areas is going to be very much around my experience from my past work experience mostly, and also very much focused on the luxury industry. But in terms of background from my side, I am the Director EMEA for media at Gucci for 37 markets. And prior to that, I was working at Montblanc in Hamburg and also at Amazon and Google. So I come more from the tech side of things and then went more and more into premium/luxury industry, because I'm a great believer in execution and also in setting up new processes. And there's still a lot to do in that industry, which is great. So quickly also then going through the next slide. So the key topic from my side is people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And that's super, super important from my side to highlight again and again, because in the end, especially as marketeers, we need to ensure that the audience is believing into our actions, that we are connecting to our audience and that we're being hyper authentic as a brand. And at the moment, there's a lot of buzz around the metaverse. There's a lot of buzz around different actions also. For example, NFT, collaborations, land being bought on Sandbox, etc. So question mark from my side is really on how much each brand should leverage metaverse for itself in terms of activity. And there's no simple answer, right? It really depends on what else you're currently facing in terms of digitalization, in terms of roadmap, and where you are today as a brand. And if you and the markets you operate in have a good and also very qualified audience on the metaverse, because I still see a very high share of 18 years old and even younger, especially in some of the games. So of course, this is also an area when exploring you should be having in mind. Then looking at a study from Accenture done last year, this is, I think, pretty shocking to see that the respondent base said that 77% of brands could disappear and no one would care. So this study is done in the US amongst Gen Z audience. And for me, this was really an urge also to confirm, to question also our actions as marketeers, especially also working for big brands, to see how relevant are we in terms of marketing communication, how well targeted is everything we're doing. And at the same time, also 58% of consumers think content from brands is irrelevant to them. So we need to keep this in mind when launching our targeting activation, when launching also a very personalized communication approach, that in whatever we're doing, we need to be to the consumer. A very much one-to-one communication and very personalized approach is expected from today's consumers. Now, looking at some other studies also from the luxury industry in this case, we are seeing that a lot of purchases, in this case 70%, are influenced by online interactions. Then at the same time also we see a strong increase in terms of spend coming from the UK, US and China. We see also Gen Z primarily choosing brands which have a very strong focus in terms of values, a very strong mission also communicated, and really play on their purpose. And interesting here also is to note that a lot of the consumers are, before purchasing, finding inspiration not anymore only on search engines. They also primarily go to multi-retailers. They go to also the likes of Amazon, for example, to find inspiration, to see also which product is going to be my final choice. And search trends, search activity is going away from search engines and moving more and more towards multi-e-retailers and marketplaces. So this is something also we need to keep in mind when we're looking at where the traffic comes from towards our website, where to focus on also in terms of digitalization, in terms of consumer behavior, to always know where our consumer is and also know how consumer trends are changing over time. Now, then again, what I always look at is also where does your brand stand versus competition. So you should always analyze, see at which time, which seasonality is a key focus for you as a brand, and also which combinations are being searched for. Is it your brand plus a certain category? Is it your brand plus a certain trend, a certain subculture, any values being connected to you as a brand? So it's super exciting to align your brand communication with the digital brand interest, which is being developed over time. Then another highlight I would like to place here is that in whatever we're doing, we need to ensure that we put the consumer in the center. And I know this is a message we have been communicating for quite some time now, but I think you can't repeat it often enough, because if you question yourself and you question how much consumers are really and truly part of your communication and are really in the heart of your communication, I think we can really do an even better job in going away from a very product-driven approach to say, this is the product, this is maybe a slow-moving good, this is a product which I would like to emphasize and highlight to the consumer, but then going into the direction of putting the consumer in the center and seeing which insights do I have based on brand demand, based on search demand, based on latest product queries, based on top sellers. And in that way, we need to adapt our marketing communication, and we need to be even better in highlighting products which are of value to the consumer. And as said again, use the right insights based on historical data in order to heavily customize our communicational approach. Now, why do we need to focus so much on consumer, on insights? So this slide here is to show again the high importance of prospects. So the audience, you as an audience being here, listening in today, is the overall audience I have as a possibility to reach today. Then in terms of prospects, this is the part of the audience which has already maybe heard about me, maybe heard about brands I'm talking about, etc. So you are already in touch with any of my previous activations, for example. So you are already closer to me as a person, as a brand. This, of course, applies to all of your brands in the same way, because everyone who has heard about you has heard about your brand and even been in touch with your brand previously is going to be much more likely to purchase in the future, and already gives you a bit of a trust benefit. So this is super important to highlight, because in the end, what we all want is to increase the rate from prospects to clients. And this is obviously also very tricky, because you need to be convincing, you need to have the right values in terms of communication, you need to be relevant, and you need to have a certain brand heat. So I can't emphasize enough to really, really focus on prospecting, to convert these prospects into clients, and by that also increase your share of first-party data audience, and by that also be able to have a very, very personalized communication. Next one is the famous pyramid of upper funnel, mid funnel, lower funnel communication. So what I've seen a lot during especially COVID past 2 years is that many brands have been focusing a lot on the lower funnel. So it has been very much around conversion of products, but also about traffic being generated to the website. And it's super important to focus more on the upper funnel, to go more into branding tactics. And by that also, again, drive brand heat and brand demand, and ultimately brand equity. So in order to win against competition, it's crucial to always have the full funnel in mind to ensure you're not neglecting any part of the funnel. And what has changed now specifically in the luxury industry, what I've seen is that there has been a bit of a shift, especially from luxury being a status item versus now also being a part of self-expression. So you want to differentiate yourself. You also look as luxury goods as investment assets rather than just, this is my property, this is something I've purchased for my bonus or whatsoever. It has really become an investment asset. And if you look at the value development of some of the key brands, you will also really see that especially investing into evergreen pieces is a very good idea. And now, especially customization, hyper-personalization are here hot topics, because this again also supports the strong aspects in terms of self-expression. Then also what I found very interesting, and this is very much also relatable to other industries, is that shoppers have really increased in terms of demand parameters. So from previously being more passive shoppers, maybe being inspired by a colleague, by a friend, etc., now we have a lot of brand critics. So there is a strong feedback culture being established, especially in Gen Z audience. So we always have to expect critics, and we always have to very closely also monitor brand desire and brand sentiment. Now, still, what is keeping most of us up at night, especially as marketeers, is the well-known non-transparent path to conversion. So if we would have this line out already, and we would know by now which share is contributing by how much to our conversion funnel, that would be a dream. Unfortunately, now due to the phasing out of cookies, we are investing more into marketing mix modeling in the industry, also into attribution modeling. So there are, of course, tactics in which you can try to shed some light into this discussion. But still, the path to conversion is not completely lined out yet. And I can recommend, due to recent developments, to really focus on data-driven attribution. So to really move away from last click, focus on data-driven attribution. But I know that many organizations are not yet able to be set up in that way, and might not also have the right talent in-house. So it's crucial to already have this in mind, to look at the different touch points, their value, to look also onto how someone even got to that touch point. So why is someone going to the store? Have they seen an advertisement? Have they received a newsletter communication previously? So which really are the game changers in the path to conversion is something I would really highlight and also emphasize in terms of investment areas. Then the next point here is also the need to personalize the customer journeys. So in whatever we're doing and launching in terms of communication, we need to be very clear. Are we talking one-to-many, one-to-some, one-to-few, or one-to-one? So based on that, of course, we need to adapt our communication. We need to adapt our assets. We need to adapt the channel also in which we are launching. So obviously, if it's one-to-many, a very broad audience, you would start with a more introductory phase. one to some, already expecting that someone has heard about your brand, your company. You can be a bit more granular, and you can already have also some contextual data, some location-based data included. One to few, maybe someone who is currently close to your store, maybe someone who is already subscribed to the newsletter and knows about you. So you can be more specific. You should also look at which product potentially to integrate into the communicational approach to be relevant at that time. Remembering again, one of the first slides, we want to be relevant as a brand to the consumer. Then one-to-one communication, of course, also super important, especially in the premium segment. One-to-one communication is one of the key game changers in order to be relevant and to win also the hearts of the consumers, because it's a very high-priced product segment. And if you are spending big budgets, you of course also expect a very personalized communication. So we need to ensure that the user journey is personalized and is adapted also depending on the proximity of the user towards us as a brand. The next one I would like to highlight are the steps to purchase. So previously, we have done some studies at Montblanc to look at the steps to purchase, to see also which steps are most relevant for Gen Y and Z when deciding on a certain product. And here highlighted are the key pillars along the journey. So you already see identification as a super, super high focus area. So you need to be able to identify yourself with the product, with the values of the brand. Inspirational piece, something they're evolving and developing more and more over the past years. So as a consumer, you want to be super inspired. You want to be maybe even brought out of your comfort zone. You want to be triggered and really want to buy into the brand desire and brand environment. Then personalization, also important, but not as important, for example, as product facts. So also, I think a good learning to ensure always product facts are being included in all of our communications. Purchase options. So clients want to have options more and more these days and expect also for us as a brand to be able to deliver on these options. Then experience. So I think often it's being forgotten to have a good after sales service to really go end to end in terms of sales experience. So this is also a key potential game changer in the steps to purchase. So based on these insights, what do we have in terms of resulting action? So my highlights here and key summary for you to potentially embrace is number one, to define your purpose. Define your purpose as a brand. Who are you wanting to talk to? What is your mission as a brand? What are your values? So only if you have identified that and also clearly streamlined across the organization, you will be able to create impact. Localization. So in many cases, many of us are looking after several markets. So some might have Europe, EMEA, worldwide functions, and it's important to have a local approach, meaning a global strategy with local execution and local flavor. So by that also, for me, it's a key differentiation factor. And you can also be audacious. One current buzzword I think you hear a lot at the moment is to be audacious, to also dare to be different. Then working in themes. So from my experience, it helps also for the consumer to understand your campaigns even better if you work in themes, if you establish also strong storytelling, and by that also be very authentic. Now, quickly summarizing the digitalization roadmap on what I can recommend to you to look at the current state of digitalization, to also look at current hurdles and current key challenges. So there is a high share in terms of dependency on paid media, which for me is one of the key areas to potentially reduce. We have seen in many organizations a very high focus in terms of, as said, lower funnel, by that also meaning search. So this is an area you can potentially reduce to have a healthy setup as an organization. Then if you are seeing a decrease in brand demand, you also need to look at what you have in your pocket in order to be able to increase brand demand and which tactics to launch. Limited omnichannel thinking is still very common across organizations. So it's important to have a good contactability rate to ensure also offline sales are being brought into the equation when you talk about digital changes and digitalization. And then also invest in higher data scientists, invest into workforce which is or which has inherited, let's say, and is really living a good combination in terms of lifestyle, marketing, and also data and insights. I think that's a super powerful combination, which is still very rare today. Launch of attribution modeling, predictive buying, maybe even click and collect. So to really ensure that there is a strong omnichannel thinking. Lack of premiumness. So we don't need to be everywhere, but where we are, we need to be very precisely and have a really customized approach as shown before, instead of a one-size-fits-all approach. In order to understand our customer, there are certain tactics also to be launched. It's important to capture insights, to also have a good always-on journey between different departments, such as CRM. And we need to also ensure that the budgets we have available are matching the overall targets of the organization. Then from visibility to desirability, it's important to avoid overexposure, to remain super premium, to remain relevant, and adapt our assets and also messaging accordingly. So do's and don'ts on the digital roadmap for me is to capture insights, to deploy a brand theme, and to join forces. Capture insights, track also brand affinity, the evolution of that, analyze your client behavior, invest into data, deploy a brand theme, so work in themes, create impact, be also differentiated towards competition, and ensure also your current values are connected and for you to be an agent of change within the organization. To join forces, as said, super important to ensure you can remain relevant across local markets, even though you might be a global organization, and ensure also that your sales and marketing teams are speaking the same language, especially also for the benefit of your retail. So this is the integrated approach I have developed across these pillars. It's super important to, on one side, understand your audience, drive by that customer experience, develop capability. I think also if you have that in-house, it's a smart move to be set up for success in the future. By that also drive demand, drive brand demand, also targeting the right customers, leverage the different channels you have available and always measure and optimize. And by that also drive long-term relationships. So through your CRM audiences, through a good retention rate and a very relevant communication, that's for me the key strategic points. Also define a prioritization strategy. So you can't do everything at the same time, obviously. You need to see what you can enable as an always-on approach and what you can enable as a sort of ad hoc strategic move. So what exactly do you want to do as an always-on and what do you want to do more as a tactical activation? Then another recommendation from my side is to develop a go-to-market guidebook. So to also see, are we speaking the same language for our teams, for our markets? Are we sure that we have the same planning KPIs, the same key message we are communicating internally? And also, do we have the right channels activated? Then again, I know it's always a tough discussion to change the mindset internally of the organization, to be able to really drive change. And here again, I want us to really focus on education internally, ensure no one is lost along the way, ensure teams are also set up for success and are being educated, upskilled, and reskilled in order to handle the challenges of digitalization and of digital trends. Then really ensure that the strategy internally is aligned. And I think here often there are discussions where we might notice that not everyone is on the same page. So it's super important to align on the priorities and, as said, also very much align on the planning KPIs and on the target state. So by changing that, by changing the mindset internally, you can really move from a reactive to a proactive organizational setup. You will be able to scale very fast. And once new processes are implemented and teams are being brought on board, I think you have a good way also to be set up for success and to really also tackle the digital challenges currently within our roadmap, currently ahead of us, and in the end, also due to that, we need to be able to know our consumer. We need to be able to very much speak the same language. By that, also launch dashboards and ensure we're bringing as many people on board as possible. Then again, final word from my side, if you can't measure it, it does not exist. For me, as I've been brought up, so to say, in the digital first and e-commerce environment, it's something I always preach because it's super important to argument based on numbers, not based on taste. That makes life a lot easier. And if you implement this approach across your organization, challenge also business cases, challenge requests also from different teams, it does, of course, help. So let's try to embrace that in the organization as well. That's it from my side. Thank you so much for your attention. It's been a pleasure.
Maria, thank you so much for that advice. I feel like you could probably take this, publish it, and we'll be good to go from there. All right. I just listening to you talk about this, I think there are probably some incredibly well-formed thoughts just from your experience over the course of time at Montblanc and Gucci itself. I guess my question is, for your roadmap to digitalization, do you feel, in your experience and knowing how organizations in the luxury space work, do you feel it's more, is it an evolution of the current state of affairs, or do you think it's revolution?
So first, I think there has been a strong evolution constantly due to the changing consumer behavior, for example. Now, in many instances, and also due to the generation shift, I think it's more a revolution. It's a revolution because we're really being pushed to develop, to change, to also adapt even quicker than previously. And often organizations are not set up in a way to react that quickly. So the agility really needs to increase. And I would say it's a strong revolution, and you're lucky if you work for a brand which also is living this approach, right? And able to deliver fast according to consumer needs.
And I suppose willing to embrace it, right? Because change is tough in an organization. I'd imagine you experienced that yourself as well, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
I guess I have another question. I'm probably going from a macro question to a bit of a micro question, but your comment on last click, I thought was an interesting one, and probably one that anyone in the industry is like, huh, okay, what does that actually mean? Because I think you mentioned it yourself. It's to do with organizational readiness, right? And readiness in the form of having the right people and processes to deal with that change. And I guess, like, what comes first? I suppose people or process. I'm curious to know what you think about that.
Yeah, so it's, I think, the education need first to know exactly what do we mean by last click attribution, right? So
fair enough.
To raise the awareness firstly, and then secondly, really ensure education for data-driven attribution. It's not something we can yet fulfill for all markets, for all channels, because each channel is so different. So at the same time, also, that's why I said invest in people, invest in data scientists, marketing analysts, etc., and really ensure that especially marketing teams are set up for success in a way. So it's work in progress, the change towards data-driven attribution. But then also it's mostly looking at online to online. And we now need to ensure as a next step that we are also integrating all offline sales into this attribution model.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, very clear. I also have a question from the audience, actually. I'm reading it here. It seems like sustainability is certainly a topic for today. So what is the best way to launch a sustainable clothing line of a brand under a different name so that people still make the link to the parent company is the question. A bit of a random
That's a fairly big question.
Yeah, I know.
If I would have the answer to that, I would have launched the brand, I guess.
Yeah, fair enough.
So
fair enough.
I think if you start from consumer insights, no matter I think your brand, if you start from scratch or if you want to launch under a different brand's umbrella, I think in that case it might also be smart to start it your own, right, with the right parameters, the right insights in markets which are already ready to embrace that, because it's also going to be connected to a higher price point, right? So it's something you might not see immediately, but you know that the production line has been super sustainable, etc. Right? Good materials have been used. So that's, of course, super beneficial and also, I would say, a target for many. But if you, again, invest into consumer insights first before launching, so you know exactly the potential price points, you know the affinity connected to these type of products and consumers. So you also know which brands you can include in your targeting, for example, you know which channels are also the right ones. So you can really do a lot if you're maybe even going to launch this digitally only for now, right? And then you can work with some pop-ups or maybe even multi-retailers to see which other brands match these values and where do you want to be positioned. But very big question.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. Wise words, though, given the question at hand. I was curious to know, also just for folks to get a sort of sense of course, you started at Gucci relatively recently. I'm curious to know, like, you're on the path of digital transformation now. What can we expect from Gucci and you in your next steps?
So here today, I'm speaking on my own behalf, right? So
Yes.
I'm going to say what you can really also expect from me in terms of next steps, in terms of agenda.
Yeah.
It's a big focus in terms of data and insights, definitely. It's a big focus to also revisit our tech stack, to see also which tools are going to be relevant, which tools processes can be optimized. That's also super important. And then lastly, again, consumer insights, as I said before. So for example, looking at first-party data audiences, launching surveys, but also combine that with second and third-party data audience. So my credo is always less but better and more qualified, and invest into data and insights as much as possible.
Awesome. All right. I think that's amazing. And Maria, also just thank you so much for all your wisdom and your time. I think it's been a great talk, and it's been a great privilege to have a chat with you.
Thank you so much.
All right.
It's been a pleasure.
You take care, okay?
You too. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. I guess we're on to the next steps of the program for today. And again, I feel incredibly repetitive, but for the sake of those folks who have recently joined our chat, I'm Tobias. I'm the Business Development Director here at DEPT. I'm the MC for today, Commerce Day. And we have been having lots of chats and panels on the topic of commerce. And for our next chat, we actually have Oliver and Jan. And this talk is actually a little bit different from the ones that we've had, because both Oliver and Jan had to travel today. And I believe they might be on a flight as we speak. So of course they can't join digitally. But we've recorded their conversation about the road to the metaverse last week. And I want to share a little bit about the speakers before we begin. So Oliver Lange works for H&M, where he established the H&M Lab in Germany, a very small innovation cell based in Berlin. The H&M Lab Germany develops projects and services to be quickly tested in the market and are often co-created with startups and partners. Headlines are sustainability and digitalization as two of the main influences for the transformation. In 2021, the H&M Lab Germany reinvented itself to become the brand H&M Beyond, to sharpen its approach as a public-facing open innovation unit that also creates meaningful interactions and engagements beyond fashion retail, but keeping the creation work at its core. Jan Goedkoen is Director of Web3 and partner here at DEPT and also a colleague of mine. He has been working at the intersection of branding, commerce, culture, and technology for the last 15 years. And in 2021, he founded our very own Meta Festival, and since then has been helping brands and retailers like H&M, About You, or Vogue Business take their steps into the metaverse. And of course, Jan and Oliver aren't here today, but if you do have questions that come up during the talk, please do ask him in the chat, and we'll make sure to forward them to Oliver and Jan so that they may reach out to you to answer those questions for you. For now, enjoy the conversation about the road to metaverse commerce.
Hi everybody, my name is Jan. I'm Director Web3 and partner at DEPT, and I'm really excited about our session today. We are here to talk about the road to metaverse commerce. Wow, that's an ambitious goal, so I'm more than happy that I have no other than Olli Lange from H&M Beyond with me today. Hi Olli.
Hey.
We are collaborating for almost a year now on the showroom/metaverse project. It's really good to have you here today. How are you doing? And would you please introduce yourself to our audience?
I will. Thank you, Jan, for inviting me. I'm beyond happy and proud all of the time. I have the best job in the world, I guess. And it's a pleasure to explain our roadmap to you guys, which I would not say is the roadmap to metaverse e-commerce, but at least we started and we are on the street. I'm responsible for a tiny little team called H&M Beyond, which is an open innovation retail lab based in Berlin, and we have the purest pleasure looking into future products, services, experiences that may be relevant for our customers. And the good thing is we do that in our open innovation approach. So we always find and want and need a partner who's co-creating with us. In that case, great that we met you guys. It doesn't feel like nearly a year. It feels like seconds, to be honest, which is great.
Thank you for being here today. And yeah, we will discuss our metaverse case in just a second. But before we start, I would like to give you a little bit of an introduction to the topic. So in my role as Director of Web3, I'm talking to many clients right now, and I find myself in diverse strategic discussions. So you know, where is the whole thing heading? Which platforms are the best to explore? What are the most successful use cases at the moment? And when will it finally reach mass adoption? And so on. But the most important question is, in my opinion, why should I start a metaverse journey? And this is probably the best question to start your journey with. Because it's easy to answer. It's an ever-recurring crossroads moment in digital history. And I would like to give you 3 lessons from the past now. So, in the 90s, lots of companies said, we don't need a website because people learn about us through TV and print. And in the 2000s, a lot said, we don't need an e-commerce strategy because people will buy in-store. And in the 2010s, way too many thought, we don't need a mobile website or app. People buy everything on desktop. And today, in the early 2020s, I think people still haven't learned from the past and say, we don't need a metaverse or NFT strategy. It's just a hype and our existing channels work just fine. But we all know where this probably leads to, right? Others will get their slice of the metaverse cake. You probably agree now that it could make sense to move into this space, but what awaits brands and what is going to change over the next years? That's, of course, really hard to project, simply because we are entering a whole decade of disruption. And there's this complex mesh of emerging technologies that is about to turn all our lives upside down. Metaverse, gaming, virtual and augmented experiences on the one side, and NFTs, crypto and DeFi on the other hand. And they are all interconnected. And this will impact marketing, branding, and of course e-commerce. So we cannot predict the exact future at this super early stage, but we see 3 paradigm shifts happening sooner rather than later. So gradually, the architecture of websites, apps, and online shops will also shift from flat to immersive as well. And this will create entirely new ways of experiencing products, telling stories, and engaging users. On top of this, we will develop a digital identity alongside our physical one. With the rise of social media, we all have been investing heavily in our digital display already. But in the next decade, we will also spend a significant amount of money on this avatar economy, which is already one of the most promising fields of metaverse commerce. And we're already seeing a tendency to turn stores from points of sale into points of experience. With the use of Web3 tech like AR, NFTs or phygital items, brands can bridge the gap between the real and the virtual world. As you see, there are lots of opportunities in the metaverse, and we just scratched the surface of what's really possible. But what's in it for you as a brand or retailer? Important question. We see 3 strategic fields. Of course, you can reach new customers. And in particular, Gen Z and Alpha are at risk of being completely lost without proper channel activation. And with all these new immersive experiences and tactics like token-gated commerce, you can engage with customers in unseen ways. All of these new techs, platforms, and paradigms bring the opportunity to create new categories. And you can become the category leader of this. And if you summarize all of this, you can make your brand and business future-proof. And this is definitely what all of you want. So, what do I want you to keep from my little brainwashing session? Number 1, bad news. There's a huge digital revolution coming your way, and it has already started. But there are also good news, because it's still super early and you can make use of this. There are many blue oceans you can capture. You better be up and running, have learned your lessons when the mass adoption hits. So start your journey ASAP. And you're not alone, because there are smart brands like Nike, Gucci, and of course H&M that are your pathfinders. They take phased approaches, they move super fast, they experiment, they learn, and they are open for collaboration. And they like to talk about their achievements. And that's really great, because we can hear from Ollie himself how he's spearheading innovation at one of the biggest fashion brands in the world. So Ollie, would you please take over for a minute and tell us a bit about your metaverse journey?
You said it, fast-paced, quick, learn, adapt. That's exactly how our mentality is, I would say, in the team. So we try to break down this beauty of what is on the table. We try to break it down to very core use cases and very dedicated stakeholder groups in the beginning to get our foot on the street. We partnered with you guys because we had this one thought. We had this thought of a digital showroom. So what would the digital showroom be? It's the beauty spot where H&M welcomes press, media, influencers and stylists and shows the latest collection. So that's a very important spot for us. Happily, we partnered up with you guys because you helped us a lot in creating that first case. And the first case was we built a virtual showroom for press, media and influencers. What I think is smart when you do things like that is already having a roadmap and iterations in mind. We have a rollout plan. We started B2B in a creation that took 12 weeks. It was not in a hurry, but it was very speedy. And the virtual showroom was a totally new experience. I can only say that. Unique, immersive experience, showcasing a collection in a new way, walking around an environment, a gamified experience even, getting background information from designers, interviews on screens, listening in, downloading the assets you need. So just making it way more beautiful than just scrolling on a flat screen, as we have heard from you today. And I'd like to show you. Yeah, and what we were aiming for, I would say, plays in three fields. We have the main stakeholder group, right? Press, media, influencers. How do they feel about it? Do we answer their demand? So that was the first check we were after. Second is H&M internally, H&M global teams. We always need them in information. You can't go without internal partners. So whom do we need to convince with the results in order also to create the new cases, right? And the third is Gen Z. And Gen Z is on that table not because they are stakeholders from a showroom perspective, but because they are the main stakeholders for us to learn how do we want to expose our brand in the virtual world and what offers are seen to be relevant. And I have a pleasure sharing it with you, Jan, and also with the team here watching, starting with that great quotation from Vogue as one of our first tier partner in media. They were welcoming that space, were really happy about the creation. They said it's absolutely worth it, crazy good detail, great way of garment displays and great background information on the collection. So very good, main goal for that creation particularly. Second is the internal discussion really helped on that roadmap because H&M globally was so proud on that development that they even took it and talked about it outside H&M with pride, I would say. And third is opening that space for some hundreds of Gen Z was important to us. Even if the campaign was down and the garments were sold, we just felt like let's invite them to that space, expose our space to them and listen in. How do they feel, what do they see and what do they wish for? And we got some very good tendencies already then. that they love being in these worlds. They love to have more, so there's a hunger for more experiences that we could create, but it needs to be catered to their needs and what they wish for. So this is what we learned.
Did they express exactly what they want from you in the future? I'm really excited about this. So.
Yeah, they did. So we also talked to them. We saw that for the first time very clearly, digital and NFT was on the list. It was deprioritized, but it was clearly to be seen on that list. So we can see that trend coming, as you told us. But we also heard that they expect fashion to be experience first. So that was where we are on the track naturally with the virtual showroom, I would say. But then also the whole engagement part. So being engaged, meeting each other, having like a social life there. To sum up, we have successfully implemented that virtual showroom. So it's out there, it's in the hands of press, and they take it and they activate it whenever they think it makes sense, B2B. On our end, we take the Gen Z feedback and we run with it. So that's basically the thing that I can look into together with you. And maybe you're excited. I am when I'm showing this to you. Celestial Spaces, the first concert in the H&M virtual universe. We have evaluated, we have pitched, we have internally found the right partners to go with, sitting in the field of music, culture, and marketing. And the artist we decided for is BGYO, P-pop band, as you would call it maybe. And we felt like if we offer these people the option to be exposed in a virtual concert, we would learn heavily. So this is what we did, and you can. It's just like happening some weeks ago, and I can show you some results or how it looks like.
When I see you walk, when I see you walk, let me see. When I see you walk, when I see you walk, let me. When I see you walk, when I see you walk, let me. When I see you walk, when I see you walk. I don't know what kind of spell you've been putting on me.
Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed it. It's even hot at the moment because we have done it some days ago.
Sizzling, sizzling hot.
It's sizzling hot, and I could do my field study with my 10-year-old, and she was enjoying that space. She was in there with her smartphone, strolling around, flying around, taking pictures, creating memorable moments. She even shared it with their friends.
I'm excited, of course, about the results because you shifted from B2B to B2C so fast. How did this affect your goals?
We had Gen Z very prominently on the table here. So we really thought like, okay, they are now the users, they are now the customers. So it needs to cater their needs and their demands, so we need to listen closely to them, not to press, media, and influencers anymore. But press and media was still very important to us because we wished for a little buzz that is created and that also pushes a little bit gently from the outside, like, okay, H&M, this is cool, you should do things like that.
I don't want to spoil too much, but I think you managed that quite well.
Okay, if you say it, then I believe it. And the third is, as you have learned already, H&M Group, so internal stakeholder management, evaluate internally and get the new sponsors on board, right? So we managed to be covered in CNN Philippines, which is just great. Very, very nice moment seeing this live TV.
Maybe a live goal for some here.
Yeah, maybe, but great that you celebrated like that. Social media we took over for a time, so the whole concert, the whole crowd, BGYO, the band, it was just trending heavily. I think it was like a big amount of communication that went global from a very core use case we had, right?
And isn't that really the sweet thing about connecting with the community, right? And making them, creating the buzz for you. So I think that's really a sweet spot, right?
Yeah.
That you found out there.
I agree. I'm not a marketing expert, but this is, at least I feel very satisfied because it comes from the people and not from us, right? But then also from many, many thousand who joined the concert, we got some thousand and we invited them to a survey and we got such good feedbacks on qualitatively level. So thousands of people were writing nice sentences, but on the quantitative side, we learned that the NPS is crazy high. So they want to just have more of it and they would suggest it to their friends. The experience rating they gave us was crazy high, so we expected good results, but not like something going through the roof. But what was kind of really motivating was the ask and the demand for products. So it was I want to buy physical merchandising of that band of H&M. I want to buy digital merchandise. I want to buy phygital, whatever. It's just a door opener to next use cases, I would say, right? But we heard clearly from the stakeholders. It was not just we think it is like that. We listen to them and we adapt. This is how the journey always looked like. And so what you might expect now on that journey, if we zoom out a little bit and we are close to finish, we have tested like the first case with the showroom where we showcase the collection in a new and immersive way. Check on that. B2B is alive and is progressing. We have engaged a local community around an artist and we celebrated music and culture together in a time and space, and we got so good feedback. But we also heard that there's more that they ask for, right? As I said. So you will see a third case that will come up or may come up from us will be connected to monetization and looking for, okay, what do people want to buy and how are the mechanics? So this you will maybe see. And another thing that my heart beats for is purely co-created on-demand collection. So co-creating pieces together with creators, artists, or customers in the virtual world. And if there's a need for it, then we start producing as a brand. It's just a nice way of funneling down creativity and producing in a very sustainable way. And what goes beyond that? Let's see next time maybe, but this is so far what we have done.
It's just such a nice representation of how you can use the momentum, right? Find the right partners, the right people internally and externally to start this journey with. Iterate, learn, adapt, right? And then, yeah, power through like you do always. Impressive to hear, I think. I can imagine that everybody that was listening today is also blown away, right? And yeah, so what would your advice be for all the listeners today? If they want to start their own journey, if they want to innovate, if they want to get in contact with new target groups, engage them, where should they start? What should they do?
My reflection on that question is more about how we do things than what we do. One might be that you need to have internal allies. You need to know that the team internally that pushes you with the right energy and the right mindset. Sometimes it's not dedicated to the roles they have. It's sometimes just like the people and their mindset. One thing. It helps on the financial side as well. So if you have people on your side and they have a shared interest, then you can finance projects like this. Second is on a very human level, try to risk something. So follow your gut feeling, take responsibility, take ownership, calculated risks, I would say, but we never go without. So we need to take a first step, a bold step into a direction. Third is be clear on what the use case is, what the goals are, and what you want to measure. You need to know this before you do something. It makes things way more easy. And for the fourth, maybe just be prepared for obstacles, influences from the side, unstable grounds, things that impact your timeline, your goals, and your product. So be very agile in such an unstable environment. I think this is also a matter of how times are, right? And one thing comes up now, which is very important, and this we also see everywhere in all projects. Find a partner who's really credible and who kind of takes you by the hand and co-creates solutions together with you. And in that journey, it was just great to have DEPT on our side early in the beginning.
Thank you. Very, very good to hear that. Thanks everybody for listening today. I hope you enjoyed our session. Unfortunately, we can't be here today to answer all your questions, but we're super happy if you connect us via LinkedIn. Just scan the QR codes and connect with us. And we will definitely be happy to chat with you.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So thanks for listening. Have a good one.
Happy day. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Jan.
All right, folks, that was it. A very big thank you to all our speakers. Those 2 hours flew by, I think. I can't believe we were already at the end. It's been really great, I think, to hear from all you experts on commerce, and also for all you speakers, my deepest gratitude for sharing your wisdom with us and your time. For you folks dialing in, we hope you're able to take away some key learnings for yourself and for your organization. If you want to stay tuned for updates, make sure you follow DEPT Agency on social media. And if you do have any questions, please also reach out to me on LinkedIn. Don't be a stranger. Thank you, and goodbye. Have a lovely day.